Unfortunately, Moon Girl magic can only take us so far. Hey everyone, welcome to Princess of Gay. I'm your host Connie, and today we are here with my blind reaction to episodes 23 and 24 of Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur Season 2. The final two episodes of the series. And there's a part of me that didn't want to start this video. Because this series got so egregiously fucked over. Through Disney's terrible release schedule, banning the episode about Brooklyn and her trans experience. And on top of that, just canceling the show because it didn't perform well enough, because they didn't advertise it well enough, as well as relegated it to their stupid app. They're literally the very reason it didn't perform well. I don't know if it was entirely intentional. I don't know if they wanted the show to fail, but it sure as fuck feels like it. And now we're at the end. Again, the final two episodes of the series, not just the season. Because Disney executives can't get their heads out of their asses long enough to actually, properly respect the work of their creators. They have fucked over so many shows now. And they're going to continue doing it because they face no repercussions for it. It doesn't affect them in any way. And all these creators keep going to them because, it gets their shows out there. It gets their work known. It's, in a lot of ways, more reliable than some other methods for them. And it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous how this company that refuses to properly respect and even advertise these shows and their creators, that they kind of have this almost not quite, but almost feels like a monopoly on this kind of thing. Disney has made such a huge name for itself, and their network and everything, networks, have kind of this stranglehold in a way that other networks don't. It's like they are looking for more exposure than they feel like networks like Nickelodeon or, well, whatever's left of Cartoon Network at this point, or online streamers like Netflix or Amazon Prime. They feel like this is the better option, especially because a lot of them want it to be televised, and then it just doesn't end up getting televised, And it's like, it's fucking over so many shows. Nothing's gonna change with this, unfortunately. And I feel like anytime we get a show now from Disney, it's like, you're gonna have to watch with the caveat of knowing it's more than likely going to be canceled, that its production will get entirely fucked over by Disney, and that it's probably going to be one of the better shows that release in the modern day, and yet it's not going to be allowed to be finished or tell the stories it wants to tell because, Disney doesn't want it to. Despite the fact that they're the ones who greenlighted it in the first place and put it on their networks and stuff in the first place, yet they're just refusing to let these shows actually shine. It's like, you're the one who greenlit the show. Why are you suddenly pulling back against it? It's like, what the fuck? And this second half of the season has showed, exactly what I mean with Disney fucking them over. The second half of this season has rushed through certain plot lines, has had to ignore certain things that could have been touched on because there's no time to touch on them, has had to force in plots just to have something in there, and is now going to give us a rushed series finale that has had no build-up and is probably going to be a bit of a letdown. Even if it's the best that the crew could come up with, which I'm hoping it is. I'm hoping that they did the absolute best they possibly could. They were fucked over to such a degree that it's like, honestly, they were fucked over a lot worse than even Owl House was. Like, Owl House was screwed over by Disney, but at least they were able to wrap it up in a very satisfying, conclusive way. With Moon Girl, it's just, they were fucked up so bad that I don't know, I'm struggling to see how it's going to be as satisfying. I'm hoping for the best here, like I always do, but I'm worried. I'm not gonna lie. There's so many plot threads that are just left hanging, so many characters that just haven't been explored, and so many things that just are never going to be touched on. And it's fucked up. It's absolutely fucked up. I'm just, this is not against the crew or anyone. It's against specifically Disney. I want to make clear that that's where my issues lie. I'm not going to blame the crew for this. They did what they could. So, that being said, we're going to get into this. Like I said, we'll hope for the best, but expect the worst. Because honestly, at this point, I just don't have faith that Disney let them have anything. It's one of those times where I'm not very hopeful. But we'll see how it goes. So, let's get into this and close this out. Hold up just a sec. Before you click that link down in the description below to get to today's video, I want to remind you of all the awesome content we have both on this channel and the Princess of Gaming channel. Let's check it out. And we're back, and we will begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. I'll be honest here, after I finished the recording, I just spent like 15 minutes just scrolling through TikTok because I didn't want to make this video, these afterthoughts. Because I want to make clear, like, right away, I'm not, like, talking about the episode being bad or anything. I didn't want to make these afterthoughts because I don't want it to be over. And I don't want it to be over like this. With the way that Disney fucked this series over. Because the plan was for, if you don't know, the plan was for this series to have 3 seasons. That was the intent. And you can tell. Like I said, this second half of season 2 was really poorly paced. There was so much that just had not been fully addressed and never will be because of Disney. They had to force out this finale earlier than it should have been. They had to make things like completely weird in terms of their overall, like, handling and whatnot. And the finale itself is good. I would not call it great, and I think part of that is because it feels incomplete. But a lot of that comes down to kind of what they had to do with this. For one, the main villain, the final villain, is underwhelming. Decoy, like, yes, ended up being an actual threat because of the Athena ray or whatever it's called. But Decoy is not a finale worthy villain. Like, I could see this being a premiere, but not a finale. Maybe a season finale, but not a series finale. Let's put it that way. I feel like we needed a bigger villain. I also feel like they set up this finale to center around Lunella's struggle over whether or not to go on this mission with S.H.I.E.L.D. And there's an argument to be made about not seeing the mission and it not really being about that, but about Moon Girl, about Lunella, ready to take that next step into her own future and leaving the LES in good hands and everything. And I get that, but it felt like it was the end of episode 23 felt like it was teasing us that that's what episode 24 was going to be about. This, what clearly was going to be this mission. And I kind of wanted to see it. And having the episode obviously start with, like, the fake out with the Avengers and everything being shown. And then there's just the fact that also, if this threat was going to be so big, why didn't any Avengers actually take action? Like, I guess Nick Fury was coming in to lend a hand, but he got there super late, and then, look, what is he going to do? Like, you could have actually brought in the Avengers. Like, I feel like Anthony Mackie probably would have done this show. You could have brought him in as Captain America. I could absolutely believe he would do this show. Even for just a small role in one episode. But it's like, it just... having Nick Fury, having Sam Jackson was great. Bringing back all of these characters, all of these villains who ended up getting reformed and everything, I love that idea. And having them now be the heroes defending the LES while Lunella's away, I actually love that. I think that's a fantastic idea. But it just feels like this finale was, like... It feels like the writers were settling. They came up with a satisfying idea because they had to settle. And couldn't, like, really conclude this in a grander way. They couldn't do as much as they might have wanted, and couldn't, like, expand on as much as they probably would have wanted. When Lunella's leaving and everybody's bidding her farewell and everything, and you see, like, this, like, who's who of all these characters that you've grown to love and care about, and it's like, these characters could have absolutely had a lot more to give to this series, and there just wasn't the time because of this. The other kids... and funny that they're showing Brooklyn and everything when it's like her episode was fucking canceled. Still pissy about that. Going to forever be pissy about that. And then it shows Casey's dads as if they're actual characters. It's like, you two didn't do shit in this series. You were basically background characters. Though if they had ended up becoming real characters, Disney would have probably canceled those episodes, so... Can't have queer characters in the forefront. Gotta pander to the fucking bigoted pieces of fucking shit out there. Damn cunts. Like, I am really pissed about this. Like, I'm more pissed than, like, Owl House getting canceled. Because, again, even though Owl House had some things unanswered, even though Owl House had a lot of things that definitely should have been gone into, at least Owl House's finale was extremely satisfying. Like, the team made the finale for Owl House as good as it possibly could have been otherwise, given the circumstances. This finale was good, but not great. And again, a lot of that is just the lack of build-up. When you just don't have enough build-up to make, like, this finale feel like it was earned, it comes across as cheap. And, like, honestly, not as big of a deal. Like, let's be honest, the shit Lunella went through at the end of season 1 leading into the beginning of season 2 was a much bigger deal than this. You end off the series on something that's, like, comparatively this small. The only thing that was bigger was the only thing that really made it feel like a finale was Lunella's, struggles on what to do going forward with her life and her career. That was the only aspect of it that felt like anything noteworthy. And honestly, if I'm being completely honest here, I feel Nick Fury and Sam Jackson were put in here for the specific purpose of fan service to try and bump this episode up a little bit. I bet you anything that it was just to try and get people a little more excited. Because the episode otherwise just isn't anything special. If you told me this was just some random episode in the middle of the season, I'd believe you. It doesn't entirely feel like a finale. Owl House's finale felt like a finale. Ghost and Molly McGee's family, even. Finale felt like a finale. Like, Amphibia and all these other shows. I mean, I guess I can't really say with Infinity Train in terms of canceled shows, because that was, an anthology series with each season being its own thing, and the final season we got did wrap up. I mean, it did. But this isn't as bad, and I didn't think it was going to be, but it isn't as bad as, like, shows that were canceled and didn't get to finish, like Glitch Techs or Dead End Paranormal Park. It's not as bad as stuff like that. But it's disappointing because it could have been so much more. And it's good. It's a good finale. I enjoyed it. It was a well done episode. But that's all it is. It's good. And it could have been great. It could have been spectacular. And it should have been. But Disney just went and fucked it all up. Disney went and made sure that this show would not be properly handled in the second half of its final season, which shouldn't have been its final season in the first place. They made sure that it would be poorly paced, and they made sure that it wouldn't be able to get across a lot of the stuff it wanted to, and that it would just be, a generally 7 out of 10 finale. It's like, I don't know if I've seen a show this fucked with since fucking Legend of Korra. You remember how fucking badly Legend of Korra was fucked up by the networks? But even then, Bright were still able to tell a phenomenal story with Legend of Korra, and were still able to make it work. Like, even with all the meddling from Nickelodeon, they still made Book 4, the final season of Legend of Korra, excellent. And it had a great finale that felt like a finale. It felt like a conclusion of everything that Korra had learned, all she had done to grow as a character throughout the seasons. She had become a very different person than she was at the beginning. And it showed in how she acted and how she treated things and how she, treated Kuvira after everything Kuvira had done. And of course, the ending with her and Asami, it's like it felt conclusive. This just doesn't. This feels like a forced send-off. Like, it feels entirely unnatural. And the thing is, I do think this was the best the crew could have done given the circumstances. But the show was so, just absolutely fucked over that the best they could have done was ending it on a 7 out of 10 episode. When it could have and should have been a 10 out of 10. It's just kind of disappointing. And again, there's a lot to love about this episode, and a lot to love about this finale. There's a lot about it that I do enjoy. I want to make that clear. And I know I'm talking mostly about the negatives and my negative feelings towards how this concluded, but that's the legacy this show's going to unfortunately have left for it. Unfortunately, it's going to just be remembered for how badly it was messed with. And there will always be us fans who remember the good times and the great aspects of this show and its characters. And I just really wish that the full story that they wanted to tell could have been told. It's just such a massive disappointment. And this is why I didn't want to get into these afterthoughts, why I was trying to put it off for 15 minutes. Because I knew how negative this all would sound. But it's that's what I came out of this episode thinking. And I'm just left disappointed. And the episode beforehand, I haven't even talked about episode 23. With the Beyonder meeting and connecting with the family and becoming a part of the Lafayette family. It's that episode should not have happened right before the finale. That's a setup episode. That's a setup episode for a lot of other episodes that should have happened with the Beyonder interacting with the family members. Imagine an episode with James Sr. and the Beyonder going on an adventure. That could have been great. Or Mimi and the Beyonder doing some crazy shit. Adria loosening up while spending a day listening to music and shit with the Beyonder. All this stuff that could have been done. And that's what this episode felt like it was setting up. Something that would never happen. Because it's being placed right before the finale, and because of that, none of the setups that it gives to us can ever be capitalized on. It was basically just it was only put there, I feel, because they had to have one last episode one last hurrah for the Beyonder as a character, which is fair. And especially with Lawrence Fishburne being executive producer on this series, but it felt like it just felt disappointing because it was a setup that was never going to be followed up on. And it was a good episode. I really enjoyed the episode, and I love the lesson of the episode. The moral of, like, you having to let people, like, talk about things at their own pace and not force them to reveal something they're not ready to reveal yet. Amazing message. It's so important and so good. And it's so underutilized because of it being the second to last episode. Honestly, it felt like kind of a waste of time because of that. It felt like just it wasn't going to do anything. As good as it was, it's kind of a pointless episode because it's not going to be capitalized on. The fact that the Beyonder knows and is kind of part of the Lafayette family now, pointless. Didn't come into play at all in the final episode. It was a waste of time. It didn't do anything. And it sucks because, again, it was a good episode. It was a well-made episode. It's just pointless in the long run. Also, Beyonder's song was fantastic. Just saying that. And I do love the final song, the final mixtape of the series in episode 24, being a song that is new but also remixes in the lines from the opening song. I think that was a fantastic idea. I feel like no matter what, even if this did have a third season, the final song should have been that. Like, that just is perfect for the final mixtape of the series. But it's just like, it's just how it was all handled. And it's unfortunately not something that's ever going to be fixed. It's over. And there's really nothing we can do about it at this point. Because here's the problem. Let's say for some fucking reason Disney decided, oh, this finale did better than we expected. We're going to give it a third season after all. How? This was a series finale. You would have to completely come up with something new. And then it's like, what are they going to do after that point? You set this up as a series finale, and then you're going to have to just retcon that into not being one? Then you're going to have to force them to create an entire new series finale. Have to go through now a bunch of storylines that they're going to have to figure out how to do storylines for another season. Because, again, they rushed a shit ton of stuff just to get them out in this season. It's like, it would not work. It would actually be detrimental to the series to bring in another season now. And that's why I don't like when a lot of shows that actually do have an ending, when a lot of people are like, oh, bring it back or renew it for one more season or something like that. It's like, no, let it die with some level of dignity. It's just going to mess up the flow that it does have if you try to bring it back at this point. When you paint a final episode as a final episode, you can't just retcon that because a network decides to change their mind. That would be so bad. I mean, it wouldn't be the first time, though. There's been a lot of shows that have been retconned that way. I mean, that's why I haven't watched the newest Futurama season or seasons or whatever. Because it's like, that series fucking ended. And it ended conclusively. Like, restarting that again, even with bringing back the original cast, it's like, No. That had a very conclusive end that you should not be messing with. And unfortunately, this is a end. Even if it's a disappointing end, it's still an end. And bringing back for another season at this point would be stupid and detrimental to the series. It just would not work. And it's wild to me. And it's like, I want to make this very clear right off the bat. I am not saying this as an insult, but they they have pushed how many seasons now of Big City Greens? Like 4 or 5 seasons of Big City Greens. And they can't let Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur have its 3 seasons, or, have 3 full seasons for Owl House either, because of stupid bigotry and shit. Like, what? And I want to make clear I'm not trying to say this as an insult to Big City Greens, because I like Big City Greens. I need to get back to that. I really enjoy what I've seen of Big City Greens. But of all things, why is that the show that they're pushing to have all these seasons of? Like, Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur, Owl House, these are the shows that are canceled, and that's the one you push so heavily? I don't understand. Like, again, not meaning that as an insult against Big City Greens, but Moon Girl and Owl House are, like, a lot better. They just are. They're better shows. Big City Greens is great, but it's not on the level of those other ones. And I know that's subjective. I understand that's opinion. But it's like, it just isn't. But I think it's more along the lines of that's what the Disney executives are looking for. They're not looking for a good series that's, more serialized and is going to tell really big, important stories and touch on important topics. No, they just want goofy comedy that occasionally will touch on some big topics, but will do so in an episodic way that's more digestible to the audiences that Disney wants to pander to. And it's the same reason why Nickelodeon keeps pushing, like, SpongeBob, even though it's, terrible. And, like, has canceled greater shows and everything. Though, of course, they also pushed the Loud House, which is, good. But it's like they pushed SpongeBob so heavily, and yet Glitch Text was canceled. And Glitch Text was, even though it was on Netflix, it was a Nickelodeon show. It's just like, ugh. And all these networks do this. It's nothing new. And it's going to keep being this way. I just want one of these shows that are like this high of quality to actually get finished. I feel like none of this level of show has been finished since Gravity Falls. Because Gravity Falls was only meant to be 2 seasons. It was exactly as long as it meant to be, and you could tell. But then all these shows afterwards, it just kept getting canceled, kept getting shortened, forced into a finale too early. It's just like, I'm just so actively disappointed. Again, I liked these 2 episodes. I think they were good episodes. I don't think that the finale episode was worthy of being a series finale episode. And as good as it was, I don't think the Beyonder family episode like works in any way, shape, or form in this point in the series, with it being before the final episode. So it's a good finale. It really is. It's just disappointing with how it was handled, how it was executed. Thanks to Disney, not the creators. I'm not blaming them again. The creators, the writers, they did what they could. It's disappointing in how everything went down. So now we have to move on. And with all the stress that this, let's be honest, gave me, and all the stress that I had even going into this finale, I want to replace this with a series that's just going to be vibes. You know? A series that I feel like, yeah, is going to have some, like, heightened moments. But for the most part, it's just going to be good vibes, something I can just not worry too much about. Something I can just enjoy. And I mean, it doesn't hurt that it's also a nominee for Anime of the Year. Just saying. We're finally going to get back to Frieren, Beyond Journey's End. I have been wanting to get back to this for a long time. I've been just like, I don't know, procrastinating on getting back to it. I do that. And I don't know why. I feel like I feel like the only thing I can think of is that all the hype that this series has gotten scared me. And that's happened before. Where a series just gets so hyped, I'm so scared that I'm not going to like it as much that I'm afraid to watch it or continue watching it. And I think that's probably the case of what happened here. I've been putting Frieren off for so long because it just got such an insane amount of hype that I'm just so worried I'm not going to have the same feelings towards it that everyone else did. And it wouldn't be the first time, like, I've not connected with a series like pretty much everyone else does. I mean, look at the likes of Arcane or Cyberpunk Edge Runners, or even going back a lot further, fucking Code Geass or Kill la Kill. Series that are extremely well received that I just do not like for one reason or another. All four of those shows I actually actively dislike. And it's just like, so I kind of sometimes find myself afraid because and the thing is, the episodes I've watched of Freeman, which I think are the first 7 or 8 episodes, um I really enjoyed. Like, I really enjoyed. I mean, the first episode made me fucking cry. Like, that's always a good sign. But I'm just so afraid that it's just going to not be as good for me as it is for everyone else. And so I think that's why I haven't continued it. I think it was like back in September or something when I put it on hold in the first place. But we're finally going to get back to it because, again, I just need something right now that's going to just be vibes for me. I've been very stressed lately for a number of reasons. I've been stress eating a lot. That's something that I have a big problem with, I will fully admit. And I've been buying bags of jelly beans from the store and stress eating those specifically. Like, sitting down with an entire 12-ounce bag of jelly beans and eating them all in one sitting. That level of stress eating. That's insanity. And it's all because of a lot of things going on in the world today. Things that I just don't want to take the time to talk about. And now with this entire Moon Girl finale kind of like putting me in a bit of a stressed mood, it's just I again, I need something lighter. And Freerun, again, it has its action-packed moments. It has some pretty intense scenes. But for the most part, it's pretty chill. It's pretty relaxed. It's pretty vibes. I know that doesn't sound like it's proper grammar, but with the way the words are used in the world today, especially the word vibes, it kind of is, weirdly enough. I think it's about time we got back to that. So, Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur, starting next Friday, will be replaced with Freerun Beyond Journey's End. We'll continue right from where we left off. Everything will be Gucci. But I want to hear in the comments below, what are your thoughts on this finale? On not only what happened within both of these final two episodes, but how this all just went down. How the finale was paced and how everything connected or didn't connect with things. And just how this show was very blatantly screwed over by Disney on so many levels. I want to hear your thoughts. And I just hope that enough people do look back on the show fondly for what it could have been and what it should have been. And for what, at least in season 1, it was. How great it genuinely was. And even the first half of season 2. And I hope I remember more for the good parts than otherwise, too. At least it didn't go downhill as far as Steven Universe or Star Versus, eh? It's better than that. But I guess, yeah, let me know your thoughts. For now, I'm Connie. I'm signing off and I'm a bit depressed, so see y'all next time.